complicated in the graph, as I'll show you. But so here, basically, this is the probability of killing an elk calf right here, and this is the in the yellow here is 30 to 105 days after May 15th. And May 15th is roughly parturition of elk, basically when they're giving birth. And so right here, and this is about the same same time frame as right here. So this is when elk calves are the most vulnerable. They're just born, they're clueless in the world, they're goofy, they're slow, and they're very vulnerable. And you can see an obvious increase in when mountain lions are killing these elk. And then as you move past, roughly four months into their lives, the elk start getting a little bit smarter. It takes us, in some cases, 25 years to figure things out, Elk are figuring out in like 4 months, And so after that, they're actually shifting to adult mule deer. So the probabilities of killing adult mule deer shift after the elk actually get bigger, get stronger, faster, and more aware of predation and such. And this is just the mass of prey. And this coincides very much with an elk calf or an adult mule deer. This is, the vast majority of their kills fall within this range right here. And so the mesocarnivore aspect, this is pretty cool stuff. And so in this study, in the combined study of all the study areas, we found 26 coyotes that have been killed. 4 bobcats, a couple of badgers, and a fox. And this actually represents virtually more mesopredator kills than almost all the other cougar studies combined. So it has to do a lot with this satellite collar feature, the Argos uplink. We're able to get to these kills very quickly and find out what these cats are killing, because a lot of these guys would disappear kind of quickly. Sometimes they consume the whole animal. And so we're able to get out there pretty quick and find out what they're killing. This is kind of always a fun image right here of a coyote that was killed, and the animal, or the female cougar that killed this coyote actually consumed the heart, and that was it. So there seems to be, in my impression, kind of an innate dislike between coyotes and between mountain lions and such. And anecdotally, coyotes have been known to kill kittens, so maybe a protective thing. Some of the coyotes have been killed when they come to mountain lion kills to scavenge. Other times, pumas have just completely sought them out and killed them. And this is all that was left of a badger kill. So I found just the head and the paw. So everything else was completely gone. And so what we're finding is it's the female pumas that are really killing most of these mesopredators, primarily coyotes. And this is pretty typical of how the pumas will kill coyotes. It's usually one straight bite to the head. If it's a large elk, a lot of times in the kills you'll find the animal attaches to the elk's throat under here and strangulates the animal. Mule deer is a lot you'll find, boom, they'll hit the back of the neck and such. With the smaller animals, it's just a bite right to the head. And so some of the indirect effects that we're kind of looking at here, we're not necessarily looking at them, but this is kind of a cool little case study that went on. And so most of you, I'm sure, live around here and you know about the trials and tribulations of pronghorn antelope. And they've gone through a lot. I mean, they're affected by fences, railroads, roads, overgrazing by cattle, not being able to hide their fawns, and then the coyotes come in and hit it. But this study, we're finding that mountain lions are actually taking a fair number of coyotes. And there was this one, I kind of have to tell this story, there was a hunter actually at an artificial water source, and he was set up and he was killing coyotes, thinking he was doing justice, for pronghorn populations. And in came one of our famous coyote killers, a female lion, and to that same water source, and he killed the lion. And thinking that, again, he was probably doing something good for ungulate populations. But the reality is he probably did pronghorn a huge disservice by killing that cougar who was an infamous coyote killer. So, I mean, in her home range, I guarantee you there's more coyotes than there were before she was actually killed. So just kind of a cool little case study there, looking at the indirect effects of predation. And right here, this is just percent of activity by time here. And you see that the mountain lions are really killing most of their prey, right around dusk, up until about midnight or so. You see these increases here. And you see it again right through here. So the kills of large prey are usually going to be at night. And in contrast, you're actually seeing, boom, resting period right through here. And as far as periods of inactivity go, you're seeing a real spike right here, right around, just after dawn. And it usually lasts for about 8 hours or so before these animals, really get moving again. So, and this is kind of going to an infamous picture from Jacksonville, Wyoming, where this mom actually sat in this cave within viewing distance, binocular distance, pretty close to the town, and people would just be able to go there and photograph these animals. And Tom Mangelson, he's a probably very famous wildlife photographer. He got these absolutely fabulous images about this mama and 3 cubs. And so this is the slide I just showed you. And so we see right around here this weight, which is pretty common for their kills. And it's interesting that this is also about the size of just about everybody in this room. We kind of fall between 112 and 220 pounds. But, so it kind of begs, why aren't they looking at us as prey? They just don't. I mean, especially around here, there's enough great habitat, there's enough prey. In some cases, there might be too much prey with the influx of elk. They don't even really consider looking at us. Sure, we hear about different things in the paper, and we've seen stuff on man-eaters on Animal Planet and all that kind of stuff. But, these cats are good cats. They're doing what they should be doing. And, in my mind, it's essentially a non-issue. So as far as mountain lion attacks, they do happen, of course, but they're so few and far between. I mean, if Animal Planet wanted to actually do a continuous show about man-eaters or when animals attack, they should look at domestic dogs. I mean, there's thousands of people that go to the hospital every day from getting bit by dogs. In 2000 alone, there's 33 people killed by domestic dogs. So dogs are far more dangerous than mountain lions in the whole grand scheme of things. And I love dogs. Yeah, I have one, so it's nothing against dog use at all. So now I just want to just shift gears a little bit and just look at some home range estimates. It's always a question that kind of comes up. And these are just ranges of 3 females. And all collared at the same time in 2006, and usually you have females kind of sharing in overlapping territories and such. And at the Grand Canyon, even though we have limited data on females, because our females tend to not last long up there for some reason, we're seeing pretty much a lot of segregation in habitat between these overlapping females here. And this is a female that's established, an adult, and in blue, she was established as well. And in purple here, this was a young female, and she probably kind of moved all around, got her butt kicked a couple times, she had scars all over, and she probably had enough, and she decided she wanted to just go to the North Rim. And she was on the North Rim for about 3 months before her collar dropped over there. These are home ranges of males, and you see there's quite a bit more mixing going on here with these, this is actually adult males and adult females. Now this probably really isn't a very good image, but it just kind of shows how, especially in blue here, how the male ranges completely overlap the females for the most part. And these are the males actually here. So all these males were collared at the same time during 2007 and in 2009. And there seems just to be a nice little mixing going on right through here during both years. And there's just great habitat in there. There's a lot of game in there, a lot of mule deer, and a lot of elk. And so you're actually seeing the male home ranges actually overlap to a large degree compared to other studies that have looked at home ranges out there in males, which is kind of cool stuff. And it may be a product of we've just caught more males, and we have caught more males at Grand Canyon. But there's an interesting dynamic going on over there. And this guy right here in orange, He was the young male I showed you early on that had lasted for about 4 months before he got shot.